Yeah, Shabbat Shalom everyone. Here I am back again with a new lesson today. Because I don't have done any live video last week, I will go back before I come to the parasha of this week, Shemot. I will go back to the parasha Vayehi because I think there is also some point I would like to discuss and to present to you. To your reflection, to your mind, and maybe to ponder, because it's really important. We with the Parasha Vayehi, we finished the reading of the book of Bereshit, Genesis, and we come to the new book, which is the book of Shemot, names, and we will see a change, a shift between the book of Bereshit and the book of Shemot, and we will talk that later. So now we are in the conclusion of the time of Joseph before he died, and the coming of Yaakov to Egypt to see his son. So now all Israel is living in Mitzrayim, what we call Egypt. And of course, we remember, and this is what I want to understand, but when we connect the two parashut, Vayehi and Shemot, we have to see, because you will see that in the parashut when I speak about that, there is time frame, and this time frame we need to be aware of that for a better understanding. But for now, we see that Yaakov and we see that the father is coming with all those who belong to him, and Joseph will present him before Pharaoh. This is when he is accepted. Remember, Pharaoh at this time was grateful to Joseph, because Joseph had from Elohim given a plan to save all Mitzrayim from the famine. So now they are in Egypt, and we started in the parasha in verse 28. 28 we read Vayehi. Now Yaakov lived in the land of Mitzrayim for 17 years. So the days of Yaakov, the years of his life, were 147. If you make the math, 147 is 4 plus 1 plus 7, or the 1 plus 4 plus 7 is 12. 12 is a perfect numbers on earth. We know 12 tribes, and 12 is always a sign, 12 disciples, 12 apostles. So this shows that Yaakov has a full accomplished life on earth. And it was the time for him to pass away. So he will see Joseph's children. For context, we need to know that Joseph's children were born in Mitzrayim. This is a particularity of Manasseh and Ephraim. They are both born from a goy. The wife from Joseph was from Mitzrayim, and they were born in Mitzrayim. This is something we should ponder and understand about ourselves. We are descended either from the 10 tribes or from Manasseh or Ephraim. In both cases, we belong to Israel. Spiritually speaking, we are all Ephraimites. I say spiritually speaking, we are all Ephraimites, because we were grown up in the spiritual Mitzrayim. Here in our context, when we read, even in the book of Shemot, Mitzrayim is a microcosm of the world today. This is what we have to understand. When I read the Torah, I need to learn something for myself. I don't learn the Torah for others. I learn Torah to change my life. That is the purpose. The purpose of the life of the Torah is to change us, to transform us. I repeat it again and again because this verse is so important. Shaul knew that because he was the Shaliach, the sent one to the Goyim, to the nations. And he said in Romans 12:2, he said, I beseech you, brethren, do not be conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. And this applies to us today. So how do I renew my mind? By studying the Torah, by digging into the Torah in the different level. We know that the Torah is presented to us in four levels: in the Pardes, in the Peshat, which is a literal, the Remes, which is an allusion, the Drash, which teach us something, and the Sod, which is the secret behind the letter. So when we read it, we need to be aware that what is hidden behind is about the Mashiach, about Yeshua, about the Mashiach, the one who will change our life. You and me, we have been changed in the day we accept the Yeshua in our life and the Torah. Both cannot be separated. And this is very important. Now, we see here Joseph, who is a type, I say a type of Mashiach, go to meet his father Yaakov and bring his two children, Ephraim and Manasseh. And this is very important to understand. Now, we know the text tells us that Yaakov is old and he doesn't see very well. And he said, Israel saw Joseph's son and said, who are these? Joseph did say to his father, they are my sons whom Elohim has given me here in Mitzrayim. Then he said, please bring them to me so I may bless them. And he said, now Israel's eye had grown heavy with old age, he could not see. So he brought them near to him and he kissed them and hugged them. Then Israel said to Joseph, to see your face, I didn't expect, and look, Elohim has let me see your offspring as well. So Yaakov was completely now restored because he saw back his son Joseph and his offspring. Then Joseph took them from his knee and bowed with his face down to the ground. So this sign of respect from Joseph toward his father. Then Joseph took the two of them, Ephraim with his right hand across from Israel left, and Manasseh with his left hand across from Israel right, brought them close to him. So the opposite, so that Yaakov has just to stretch his arm, the right arm, he will fall onto Manasseh, and his left arm, because and the opposite to Ephraim, and he will be the left side. But Israel stretched out his right hand and placed it upon Ephraim's head, so he crossed. Thought he was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, crossing his head through Manasseh was the firstborn. So Manasseh was the firstborn. And Joseph see that. And he said, no. He said, when Joseph saw his father place his right hand upon Ephraim's head, he was wrong in his eyes. So he took all of his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Joseph said to his father, not like that, my father, because this one, the firstborn, but your right hand upon his head. Put your right hand upon his head. He thought that Yaakov make a mistake. But his father refused and said, I know my son, I know. He also will become a people, and he also will become great, but his young brother will become greater than he, and his seed will be the fullness of the nation. The verse 19. That this point is very important. So I will try to read in another. He said, any seed. Now it is the three. I don't know. There's something. Three scripture. I don't know the name from this scripture. He said, any seed is to become the completeness of the nation. What do we learn from that? It's really important to understand, because if we another say the fullness of the nation. The term in Hebrew is melo hagoim, the fullness of the nation. I think the King James say it so. I will look. She shall become no multitude of nations. the Young Literal Translation say, yeah, fullness of the nation. So the fullness of the nation, is the fullness of the nation. So now, look what Shaul said in the book of Romans. It's very, very interesting, because if we go to the book of Romans, we see here in the verse 25, he speaks about the olive tree in this chapter, and he says in the verse 25, 11:25, for I do not wish you to be ignorant, brethren, of this secret, that you may not be wise in your own conceits, that hardness imparted to Israel has happened till the fullness of the nations may come in. Now we know who are these goyim Shaul is talking to. They are not pagans. They are not from any nations. The fullness of the nations are those from Ephraim, who have been scattered in the four corners of the earth around 7th century before Yeshua, in the time of the split between the kingdom of the north and the kingdom of the south, the kingdom of Yehuda. This is when they have been scattered. To understand that, we have to read the book of Hosea. The book of Hosea will explain us in the deep way the connection with Ephraim, the house of Israel. So we have to the house of Israel or Ephraim. Yehuda is clearly called Yehuda. Sometimes appear under the house of Israel, but clearly Yehuda at his own, and the house of Israel. So we see that here Shaul was aware, because he has an encounter with Yeshua, he was aware and that these goyim are not any goyim, but at first the house of Israel was being scattered among the nations. And this is very important. If we read the book of Ephesians in this context, knowing that we are these people coming from the nations, from the goyim, through Yeshua, that is the work of Yeshua in you and me, to change us. Because the only way to come back to the King of the universe, to the Creator, is through Yeshua and the Torah. They are not to be separate. We cannot. This is why the mistake of Christianity. Christianity take one part, Jesus, but reject the other part, the Torah. This is why it is outside the covenant. And we will see that in the book of Shemot. Now, it's very important to understand that Yeshua brings us back. He brings us back to the Torah. And we will see later with Moshe the same way. There is no difference. Now, Ephraim and Manasseh, born in Mitzrayim, like you and me, or most of us, were born among the nations, so the spiritual Mitzrayim. And we grow, and we come to Yeshua, represented here by Joseph. And we are adopted in the house of Israel, even if we are descended from the house, from the tribe of the north, the 10 tribes. We need to be grafted in again, because we have been cut off. We have been put in exile. We have been divorced. So this is very important to understand. Now, thus say, we see that now they are perfectly part of Israel. They are perfectly part of Israel. There is no more difference. And we will see, it goes so far that even Ephraim is called my first son, my firstborn son. So we'll see that. Now, we go further. Before I go to the book of Shemot, I want to see also the change that we see in the, let me go back to the Bereshit. Now, chapter 49 is very important. Now, after that, Yaakov wants to give a blessing to his 12 children, to all of them, and he will go on, everyone, he will speak again. But I want to focus on Judah. Why? Because we see that there was a tremendous change in the life of Judah. Yehuda was the instigator of the selling of Joseph. And we see in the different parachutes concerning Joseph that Yehuda had to undergo the process of rectification. He has to make a rectification in his own life to change. And we see that the first time Yaakov sent them to Mitzrayim for the grain because there was a famine in the land of Canaan. They let Shimon there, no problem. They let Shimon and went back. Shimon stayed in custody in Mitzrayim until they come back. But the message was, bring Benjamin with you. Bring Benjamin with you. And Yaakov was not ready to let Benjamin because he lost his firstborn son, Joseph, from his beloved wife, Rachel. And he said, now if I lose Benjamin, I just have to die. There is no more, nothing for me. You understand? Because he was his beloved wife. If you remember, I have spoke about the position of Rachel and Leah. Two pictures. Leah represents Yehuda. Rachel represents Ephraim, the house of Israel, and the typical character of Ephraim. Now, here, Yehuda, in the second coming from the land of Canaan to get the grain, was able to convince his father to let Benjamin go with him because he gave himself to his father. He said, listen, if I don't bring back Benjamin to you, I will answer for him. I will answer for him. So we see the shift in Yehuda's life. Yehuda's changed. He has learned from Tamar. Remember Tamar? He promised to Tamar to give her the last son, the third one. Because at the time when Tamar lost her second husband, which was a wicked one, the other one, the last one, was very young. He said, just wait until he's old, and I will give it to you. But he didn't. He forgot, and Tamar chose to trap him. She disguised herself into a prostitute, and because she wanted to have a seed to make sure the descendants from Yehuda. That is the promise, that is the purpose of a woman, to bring a vessel to make the descendants sure. So she slept with Yehuda, and after that she took the road and the ring from Yehuda as a security for the promise he did to give a calf. So when he came back, there was nobody there. And when she was pregnant, Yehuda said, well, if she's a prostitute, we have to burn her. But she said, okay, let him come, the one who belongs this road and this ring. And what does he say? What does Yehuda say? Yehuda say, she's more righteous than me. He remembered that he has made a promises, but he didn't keep his word. So Yehuda is in a process of restoration. This is our midot, our trait of character must be corrected. This is why we have the Brit Hadashah. We have the Torah to learn the Torah, to learn the instruction of Elohim. We have the Brit Hadashah to repair our midot, our character traits. And I will speak that later. It is very important because both are complementary. We see we have the first covenant is under Moshe. The renewed covenant, Brit Chadasha, the renewed covenant, not another one, is the same. It is only renewed. According to Yirmiyahu 31:31, through Yeshua, through the blood of Yeshua, it is renewed. Is there through the apostle Yohanan, Yeshua, of course, Yeshua himself, Yohanan, Shaul, Kepha, Yaakov, Yud, and so on. They are there to help us to repair our middos, to bring the balance. For that we need to understand the tree of life. But maybe we'll make a video for that. So now, we are here and Yehuda has changed. This is what brought Yaakov to take a decision which, remember, Jacob was a prophet. To take a decision, we will last till the very last days when Mashiach come back. So, you know the text. I will read only about Yehuda in the chapter 49. Now, he say, 49:8, Yehuda, you, thy brethren praise you. Thy brethren praise you. Your hand will be on your enemy's neck. Your father's son will bow down to you. A lion's cub is Yehuda from the prey. My son, you have gone up. He crouches, lie down like a lion, like a lioness who would rouse him. The scepter will not pass from Yehuda, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he to whom it belongs will come. That is Shiloh. To him will be the obedience of the people. Another version, I will read for you. In the it's a treasure of scripture. You, Yehuda, your brothers praise you. Your hand is on the neck of your enemy. Your father children bow down before you. Yehuda is a lion's cub from the prey you have gone up. My son, he bowed down, he crashed like a leon, and like a leon who does rouse him. The scepter shall not turn aside from Yehuda, nor an scribe from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him is obedience of people. Today, there is a concern about, or in the Messianic movement, about many who think there is some kind of authority, and I was among them for 10 years. No, it's not a short time, 10 years. And especially concerning the calendar. And you may have heard that many goes and look to the lunar calendar, and that Yehuda keep the Saturday Shabbat. Saturday Shabbat, we know that it is a Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar was enforced in the 5th century our time under Constantine. This means in time of Yeshua there was no Gregorian calendar. And if you search for yourself, you will see that 300 years ago from now, this means in the 16th century, there was no common calendar around the world. Every government has its own calendar. Even for ourselves in the 18th century, in the 19th century, we had a calendar with 10 days a week in France. So you see. So this is not, the Gregorian calendar is not so like it seems to be. Nevertheless, we should remember that Yehuda has a scepter and he has the rule authority until Shiloh comes. Shiloh is well known in Judaism to be another name for Mashiach. So, as we know, Mashiach has not yet come. We do make a mistake when we look at Yeshua in the scripture, in the Brit Hadasha, and read Shaul. When we read the Brit Hadasha, we have to know about the context. The gap between the life of Yeshua and Shaul, there is a 25 years gap. That we have to understand. This means that the approach is totally different. If I read from Yeshua, if I read from Shaul, when I read from Kepha, from Yaakov, from Yehuda, from Yohanan, these all they were with Yeshua. But when I read from Shaul, there is a 25 years gap, and that I have to understand, because when Yeshua came, he didn't come as a Mashiach. He came as a prophet like Moshe. Read John 1:45, and in another place, as in John 6 or John X, it is again mentioned that he is the prophet that should come into the world. So he came as a prophet in the time of Shaul, and the encounter Shaul had with Yeshua. He was already the Mashiach. This is after the resurrection. Now Yeshua is seated at the right hand of Elohim in the heavenly places. This is a totally different situation. We need to separate both the time of Yeshua, the time of Shaul writings. If we do that, we will have a better understanding. And now Yehuda is the one from all the 12 tribes. Yehuda with Benjamin and Levi are the only one who are stay in the covenant, never broke the covenant. We can discuss how they keep the covenant, that's not a problem. But they have never. The house of Israel, Ephraim, has been divorced. Divorced. We can read that in the book of Yirmiyahu. So he has been divorced. And we had to go back to the covenant, which is through Yeshua. Through Yeshua. We see, so we should remain humble toward Yehuda and pray for Yehuda, for our brethren Yehuda, who love the Torah, and we go to the Torah in our personal tikkun, in our personal restoration. So Yehuda is the one who has the authority and the scepter. We cannot change that. It is written in the Torah. So we need to understand that, to be humble and to give thanks to Elohim for the great privilege we have to have been grafted in again through Yeshua. This is what I want to tell you about the last parasha from the book of Bereshit before I go to Shemot. Now, if you understand that, it will help you. There is many more to learn in this parasha, many more. And I will make the transition to Shemot. The parasha tells us in the last chapter, the chapter 50, let me go to the verse, and we see, now Yaakov has died, and we see that Joseph will die also, and he died, and say, here in chapter 50, 22, and say, Joseph dwelt in Mitzrayim, he and his father's household. Joseph lived 110 years. So this is my point here. Now, remember, Joseph was sold to the Ishmaelite when he was 17 years old. So he spent 22 years with Pharaoh before Yaakov came back. So he spent 70 years after the death of Yaakov. 70 years. We need to remember that, because when we jump to the next book, the book of Shemot, we need to understand this gap. What is the change? In the time of Joseph, there was prosperity for all the children of Israel. They dwell in Goshen. Goshen is, I remember that Goshen in the Gematria has the same Gematria as the word Mashiach. Joseph was their Mashiach, the one who provided for them the good food and all the comfort they need. Now we go to the book of Shemot, and we will look together. So Shemot 1:1. Now, and it starts, and these are the names of the children of Israel who came to Mitzrayim with Jacob, each one with his household. And he gives a name. And Shemot is named plural. So now, he gives us a name. Joseph died, verse 6, and all that generation. So all those who were with Joseph died also, passed away. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased very much, multiplied, became very strong, and the land was filled with them. So, and it said that now, then a new sovereign, a new Pharaoh arose over Mitzrayim, who did not know Joseph. Now we understand why. Because Joseph was already dead, and he spent some years before the new Pharaoh came, and he didn't know. He didn't know. It's not that he didn't know about Joseph. He didn't know Joseph because he didn't have an intimate relationship with Joseph like Pharaoh in the time of Joseph. Pharaoh in the time of Joseph was overflow with the goodness of Elohim through Joseph. This one, he didn't know. He has no relation with Joseph. He is God on earth because pharaohs, like later the emperors in Roman emperor, consider himself to be God. Somewhere it's in the, I think it's in the book of Ezekiel, it is written, I have made a knife for myself. You see how it is in the mind of Pharaoh. Now, we're going to stay in the simple text because in the sword there is much more to learn. But we're going to see here that now the children of Israel are living in Mitzrayim, like the children of Israel today are living all around the world. We are living, and the danger is that we accommodate ourselves with the world system. Convenience is easy. So yes, I am a believer. I believe Elohim. I believe Yeshua. But what about my spiritual life? Remember, Shaul said, do not love the world or anything that is in the world. That's not Shaul, excuse me, that is Yohanan. For anything in the world, if you love the world, we are enemy to Elohim. So the world has nothing for us. He has nothing for us. We need to be careful to understand. Here we see the danger for the children of Israel. They have accommodated themselves to Mitzrayim, to the system, and live there, have not taken the initiative to go back to Canaan. They could have gone. They were not. They were not until the new Pharaoh came. They were not saved. They could have gone to the land of Canaan, but they didn't. So it was the will of Elohim. It was the will of Elohim. We see that Moshe will be born, and Moshe, what we have to understand is that when Yaakov was born, remember there were two in the womb of Rivka. It was Yaakov and his son, his brother Esau. So Yaakov and Esau are representative of our personal identity. The Yetzer Tov, the good inclination, and the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, represented by Esau. Yaakov represents the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination. Esau, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Both are in us. We carry Yaakov and Esau. Esau can be personified under our ego, the my, the I decide, I, always my. That is the side of the ego, the evil inclination. This is why we are in fight with ourselves, because we are always to decide. But the more we let the word dwell in us, the Brit Hadasha and the Torah, the more we are transformed and become spiritual, mature people. This is why the necessity of studying the Torah, Shabbat after Shabbat, day after day, to meditate on ourselves, because I don't need to restore you. You will restore yourself with the help of Elohim, and I will restore myself. I am not here to restore you. You are not here to restore me. Every one of us must take the challenge and be restored. Here, because they are living in a comfort zone, like many of us today in the world, Elohim let the trouble come. He let the trouble come. He has already the solution. The solution is called Moshe. And for the solution today is called Mashiach. But he let the problem come until the people begin to cry to him, to the Creator. They began to cry to him. They began to realize, what are we doing in this land? We are slaves. We are slaves by the Pharaoh who do not look, who do not know Elohim, some familiar to us today, all the governments we have. Do you think that Elohim do not know who is at the head of your country? He knows. He knows very well. But everything has a purpose in life. It is to bring the children he loves back to himself. This is how it is. But at the same time that the children of Israel are suffering, Jehovah has a plan. He has a Moshe. Moshe will be sent into Midian for 40 years. And if you want to know the story, what has happened to him, you have to read the book of Yasher, or this another book, Pirkei Eliezer, I think, from Judaism. So to learn about the life of Moshe during these 40 years. Moshe was prepared, even if he didn't want to do it, but he has no choice because Jehovah has put his hand on him and has chosen him to go back to Mitzrayim. To what? To deliver his people, to deliver his son. And it's very interesting because we will see somewhere, let me see, nice, what I have soon. He knows that, and he spoke to Moshe, he explained to Moshe that he will send him to Pharaoh, and that Pharaoh will not let the children of Israel go, and that even that Elohim will harden the heart of Pharaoh, that he will not move. He will not move. But this is also a purpose, because now there is a shifting, there is a sifting, a selection of the people. We know that when the children of Israel will go out from Mitzrayim, only a few of them will go out. The majority of the children of Israel will stay, will remain in Egypt, will die there, finish for them. Okay? So now, Jehovah is working this plan, deal with Moshe, you see, and you said, don't worry because I am the one who will be with you, say to Moshe. Now we have to understand what is going on with Mashiach and us. Mashiach will come back the same way. He will come back the same way like Moshe, when we don't expect him. They didn't expect that a man will come to deliver them. A man will come to deliver them. You see? But then came Moshe. They were, who are you? Who are you? You are like us. And you were living with Pharaoh before. Who are you? You see? Mashiach is the same. For many, Mashiach is Jesus. So who are you? You understand? For us, Mashiach is Yeshua. We know that he will come to establish the kingdom of Elohim. And at this time, he will be without resistance, because he will be in the power of Elohim. He will come as the Mashiach. He is now the Mashiach since the resurrection, sit at the right hand of Elohim in the heavenly places. When he come back, he will come in the full authority of Elohim on earth to establish a kingdom. He will come in the authority of Elohim and Jehovah. Explain, Elohim represent the strictness, the side of the left side, which is the side of Gevurah, strictness and judgment, and the side of Chesed, which is the favor and the grace, will be for his children, for the children of Israel. So, and he say, now, he say, he goes and he say, and Jehovah said to Moshe in Midian, go return to Mitzrayim, for all the men are dead who took your life. He said, now you have to go. All those who have want to kill you, they're no more there. Okay? You see. And look what he said. Shemot 4:22. And you shall say to Pharaoh, thus said Jehovah, Israel is my son, my firstborn. And I say to you, let my son go, singular, to serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, see, I am killing your son, your firstborn. Why does Jehovah say, Israel is my son, singular, my firstborn? I will try to explain. I spoke from Yaakov when he was in the womb of his mother. He was not alone, he was with Esau. So I have said that Esau represents the Yetzer Hara, which is the evil inclination, Yaakov, the Yetzer Tov. And all Israel is born out of Yaakov, remember, except even Manasseh and Ephraim, because there's the son of Joseph. The seed of Yaakov bear 12 children, including Joseph, which made the children Ephraim and Manasseh also from the seed of Yaakov. So here when you say Israel is my son, my firstborn, because it is from Yaakov, Israel. All those are from the same seed, they are one. It is a collective soul. Here in Mitzrayim, the children of Israel represent all Israel, one, collective one, with all complexity of the soul, because our nefesh is constructed in a certain way. And we need to understand that, because through the children of Israel, we will see later, with all the 12 tribes, what is the difference in the character, in the behavior. And this is very important to know when we are working to restore our own middos, our own character traits. This is very important to understand, because here we see that Jehovah considers Israel as one. So if we think that we are better than others, we are a problem. We are not better, we are one. And as such, we should look at our brand from Yehuda to be part. We are one with Yehuda. Not them with us with them. We are one. And I know, we say, oh, but today, you know, Judaism that, and Judaism that, and Judaism. Yes, I know. This conflict will goes on until Mashiach come back. Okay, you can read Yeshayahu chapter 11, you will see that there is a conflict between Ephraim and Yehuda, Yehuda and Ephraim. But this will be resolved when Mashiach come back. But nevertheless, today, we can show respect and love to Judah, to Yehuda. That is how we should behave. We should be aware of that they are our brethren, and that we are one. So if you go in an assembly and they are not exactly like you expected, show respect. We don't have to agree with everything, but to show respect, because we are one collective soul. One collective soul. This is important to understand. So when we understand that, our life will be much easier. We will have no more competition with others. We will be free, and we will enjoy every gathering we have with others. Because you know that in the world we are living, even we speak about the so-called Messianic world, we are not all in the same level. We have some who just came back to the Torah since 6 months, 1 year. We have those who are 5 years. We have those who are 20 years and more. You see, so we have different level. But what unifies us is not from me. It is from Shaul, 1 Corinthians 13. It's love. Love is the glue that makes us one, echad. And that is very important to understand. If we keep going to criticize others, and I say again, we don't have to agree with everyone. But if I don't agree, if I don't like, I am not forced to listen. So I go, I pray to Elohim to send across my life people who will help me to grow. I have never been disappointed to meet people who have been a blessing unto me in my spiritual life. I always pray. I say, Father, send people across my way to help me to understand. And it's happened. I found so, and you know where? In Judaism. In Judaism, Messianic Judaism, but also in Judaism, traditional Judaism, where I learned from Yehuda. I seldom, very, very seldom learn from Messianic side. I learn from Messianism, Yehuda Messianism, or the Yehuda traditional. This is where I learn. And let him was here to hear, because we need to be changed in our mind. We need to remove our small-minded view to let Elohim do what he wants to do in our life. If I accept that, I know that I am not working for my neighbors, I'm working for myself. This is my work to restore, to be restored in the body of Mashiach. Shaul explained to us that we are all are living stones coming together to build this temple where Yeshua is a chief cornerstone. So we have to understand that every one of us must be cut, formed, framed in a right way in order to fit into this temple. So it's not the neighbor will do that. I need to do that for myself, to prepare myself to be this perfect living stone, to fit in the body of Mashiach, to fit in the spiritual temple. This is very important. So we will see here that we have other parachute. I think there are 6 in all here in the book of Shemot, which bring a process of redemption. This is that will be my conclusion for today. Moshe is sent to back to Mitzrayim, a picture of the world today, to bring back deliverance. Deliverance, which is for us redemption. Deliverance from the physical world of Mitzrayim. Yeshua has come to deliver us from the spiritual Mitzrayim until he comes, when he will be sent like Moshe, to restore the kingdom on earth. Maybe soon in our days. We pray for that. This will be a great day when we see Mashiach coming in Yerushalayim to establish the kingdom of Elohim. And this is what we need to pray for, and to understand that unity is absolutely necessary. And you shall say to Pharaoh, thus said Yehovah, Israel is my son, my firstborn. Never forget that. We are one body, one nation. There is no two nations, one nation. Israel, all born from Yaakov. So this is the message I have for you today. There is much more. We're going to see that in the next week and the other weeks, the other Shabbat, because there will be a process of redemption which will take place. And for us, the process is to learn and to understand what is my purpose in the body of Mashiach. It's not for sure to be in competition with my neighbor, with my brother, with my sister, in this assembly. No, this is not it. I had to work out my salvation with fear and trembling. This means I have to work out in my middos, my character traits. They must be transformed, they must be changed, because we are born in this world, and the world has nothing for Elohim. The world has nothing for Elohim. So I need to understand that. When I understand that, I am free. Free to follow Yeshua and to be light in this world. So I hope this message will help you in your thoughts, in your meditation, because we need to meditate Remember the Psalm number 1 who say, blessed is he who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the way of the sinner, nor sit in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the Torah of Jehovah, and his Torah does he meditate day and night. When we meditate, we need to meditate on our thoughts, Torah thoughts. What is, why I am thinking so, why I am doing so, because I need to repair. We are to repair. So don't forget that. By doing that, we grow spiritually, we elevate ourselves, spiritually speaking, and we have a better understanding, and we become a blessing to others. So brothers and sisters, I hope this was a help for you. I wish you a wonderful week. May you be blessed in all you're doing, and may Jehovah protect you and guide you, and send his messenger before you and behind you when you go out, when you come in. And we see you next week, next Shabbat, with a new parashat. And I say bye-bye for now. Shalom, everyone.